Hi people, it's James again. This video is going to be another controversial one, as I love to do controversial videos and edgy subjects. And this video will be my flat earth testimony, a video of how I came to believe the most ridiculous conspiracy theory out there, the one that everyone mocks at and scoffs at, laughs at. Um, it's going to be a video for me talking about how I came to believe it, why I believe it, how long I've believed it, and is there any, I'm going to try and talk about some proof for it. Even though what I say, a lot of people aren't going to believe just like that. I encourage you to research it for yourself. The main thing I want to say is to not believe everything you've been taught. People view mainstream science as, they're all right, they're all correct. You have to listen to the mainstream science, what we've been taught in school. That's absolutely correct, and you can't protest against it. You can't question it. And I have always believed in the Bible. I've always believed in God. I've always been interested in conspiracy theories. Me and my brother, we love them. But I don't blindly believe everything I read. I don't believe every conspiracy theory, even though a lot of them are true, in my opinion, because the reason why conspiracy theories get so popular is because they have some level of truth to them. If these conspiracy theories were completely ridiculous with no proof to them, they would be shot down immediately. So that leads me to where I first got introduced to flat Earth. January of this year, 2017, I think it was December, I was in Lapland, Finland, and I knew about flat Earth. I'd heard about it, but it was a conspiracy theory that even I went, no, this ain't true. Don't be ridiculous. I'm all for other conspiracy theories, but flat Earth, no, whatever. And then my brother came to me and he told me about a man named Rob Skiba, who I greatly admire. He does a lot of Bible work. He's a researcher. He's a very good researcher. He's a scientist in his own right. He doesn't have a lab coat. That doesn't make him less of a scientist. He's not backed by mainstream science. But that doesn't matter either. And this guy Rob Skiba, he did a video about flat Earth, and I was like, Rob Skiba, he believes in flat Earth? Come on, really? So that made me think, okay, he believes in it. It seems that it's growing exceptionally quick. This flat Earth movement is growing, and it's growing every day. Lots and lots and lots of people are coming to it. So I thought, okay, it can't be that ridiculous. If so many people are talking about it, then there's got to be something to it. Okay, I'll look into it. So I didn't immediately shut it off, which I believe a lot of people do, because it's big. It's a big lie. It's a huge deception. The Earth not being a ball. What? But we saw it in the classroom. We saw a globe in our classrooms. It's in all the textbooks. We see it on TV. NASA are giving us these images of Earth. All the space agencies believe it. How can it be a lie? But because I'm a Bible believer, I believe 100% that we are being governed by evil people. The Bible says that Satan, which means the adversary, it's not a fallen angel. Satan is the ruler of this world at the moment. God, or Yahuwah, has given Satan a platform. We are being governed by psychopaths, and there is a lot of lies out there. A lot of lies in the textbooks. Children are being indoctrinated with a lot of lies, because there is an agenda here to enslave people. It's to start the New World Order, which is talked about not just in the Bible. It's been talked about for decades and decades. There's been whistleblowers that have said that, they're trying to bring in a New World Order where everyone will eventually be slaves to the system, and if you don't conform to their system, you will be cut off. And the way that they're doing this is to, well, first of all, you have to not give all the information out to the public. You're not going to give them the truth about why they're here, what is the nature of the earth you live on, because knowledge is power to them. So they're going to lie to you about where you are, for one, because if you believe you are on a spinning ball hurling through space at 1,000 miles per hour, revolving around the sun, whilst the sun is traveling through the universe at, I forgot the number, but it's pretty fast, you know, surrounded by planets, by billions of galaxies, billions of stars, what does that make you feel? Well, it makes me feel this big. That's what it made me feel. Small. You don't mean nothing. You know, there's no gods. You're just an accident, a cosmic accident out of a random big bang. But there could be loads of life out there, so doesn't matter. You know, do what thou wilt. That's what the Aleister Crowley, one of the probably the most famous Satanist, said. You know, that was his doctrine. Do what thou wilt. Do what you want to do. Live your life. Doesn't matter. There's no God. You're going to die anyway. Do what you want to do. That's one of the reasons why I think they're trying to make us believe we're on a spinning ball. Another one is there's, you know, it is to hide the creator, I believe, and to take your money, to take your tax dollars. NASA gets billions of dollars in tax money to give you fake CGI images of Earth, which they admit it's fake. The blue marble photo of the Earth, you know, the famous one, we've all seen it. The guy who put the photo together, he said, oh, it's photoshopped. Yeah, it has to be. So they admit it's photoshopped. We haven't got a real single picture of the Earth. And but by the way, in one of the photos of Earth, you see that they have put in the word sex in the clouds. I know, yeah, you're gonna laugh. You think, what is he on about? Check it out for yourself. Some of you might say it says SFX for special effects, which is in most of the Disney films, by the way. The same, because Disney and NASA collaborate together. That's well known. So they've put the word sex in the clouds in one of the photos of the Earth. And all the land, the countries are distorted. Their size is distorted. It's not correct. You know, I think even one of the photos of Earth, Canada is missing, I believe, or was it North America? One of the two is entirely missing from the Earth. So there's inconsistencies there. How do I get into flat Earth? In Lapland, Finland, I started to look into it more. I started to realise that there is tons of independent research going into this to show that the world is not a spinning ball. And I know you say, oh, YouTube, you'll say YouTube videos, you know, you can't just trust YouTube videos, you know, you blindly go on the internet, you pick a video and you believe it. Well, you know, I think people need to see that you can do science, you can do studies without having a lab coat, without having a degree, without being backed by mainstream science. You know, you can do these tests for yourself, and that's what many people have done. Eric Dubay, for one, I think he's the leader of he's the most popular flat earth guy, I think. He kind of brought it more popular. You know, the flat earth has been around for thousands of years, but Eric Dubay, I think, brought it back. He's done a book called 200 Proofs That the Earth is Not a Globe. I suggest you check that out. Very interesting. It will blow you away. You know, it's out of this world. No pun intended. But yeah, I saw that there are so many people doing experiments to show that the Earth is flat, and I will talk about some of them. I'm not a scientist. I will try my best to discuss some of the proofs for the flat Earth. One of them is, well, gravity, for one. Gravity is this magical phenomenon that apparently keeps everything together on these planets. It keeps the oceans, it holds the oceans in, and it stops us from flying out into space, because we are spinning like this right now. I know you don't feel it because they say the Earth is so big, but we're apparently spinning around the sun, through the galaxy, and the reason we don't fly off is because of gravity. Yet they admit, you know, Neil deGrasse Tyson admits that they have no idea what gravity is. But they trust, they put all their faith in gravity because it's the thing that holds the globe Earth together. Without it, you wouldn't have a globe Earth, you wouldn't have a spinning ball in space. And so water always finds its level, right? You do the experiment, you can do it for yourself. You look at rivers, you pour water in a glass, it always finds its level, right? Water never conforms to the exterior of a shape. If you get, say, a football and you pour water on it, it's not going to stick to it, is it? But they say for the earth, gravity makes the 90% of the ocean that's on our earth stick to this planet that's flying through space. Yet they don't know what it is, but we're supposed to just go with that and we're supposed to believe it. Okay. So, yes, water never curves, and there is no observable curvature of the earth. Apparently, the earth curves at, forgive me if this is wrong, 8 inches per mile squared, and there has been many independent cameras gone up to 100,000 feet, even I think 300,000 feet is the record, and it's completely flat. And they say that you should be able to see curvature at 35,000 feet. Yet there's many videos, and I know you say videos, okay, videos don't prove anything, videos can be fake. Well, you know, if that's the case, what can you believe? If you can't watch a video and, you know, be convinced because it might be, you know, because it's not from NASA or any other space agency, doesn't mean it hasn't got truth to it. So yes, there have been many independent cameras gone up on hot air balloons and shown at 100,000 feet that it's completely flat all the way around, no curvature at all. So that as well got me thinking, okay, the only time we see curvature is in fisheye lens cameras, which you have to look out for. It's very, very obvious that when you have a fisheye lens camera, it gives you a curve all the time. Even if you're not that high up, it'll concave all the time. So don't be fooled by fisheye lens cameras. Plus, you know, NASA and all these other space agencies that are stealing your money, they give you CGI images, they give you CGI videos of curve. But when an independent camera goes up, there's never a curve. And another proof, I'm just quick firing through quick reasons why I believe the world is flat. There are many, many reasons. I've looked at this for about 8 months, and every day there's stuff coming out that makes me think, well, we're not on a spinning ball. I know I sound insane, I know, but I would like you to check this out for yourself, not just take my word for it. Research it for yourself and see what you find. But yes, another reason why I think the Earth is, well, that the heliocentric model that they give us is wrong is because there have been many independent cameras pointed at the stars, you know, a Nikon P900 for one. And I know that's not the most powerful camera, but it's pretty good. There are many videos on YouTube. You type in these Nikon P90 cameras pointing to the stars, and it shows you without a doubt that these stars are not what they are telling us. Apparently that these stars are billions of light years away, and they're distant suns. All of them are suns, billions of light years away. But when you zoom in on these stars, they don't look like suns at all. They're morphing lights that appear to be underwater. And funnily enough, the Bible says that there is water above the heavens. You know, it says, praise ye the waters that be above the heavens. And that's what we see. When we zoom in, we see that these stars seem to just be lights or angels, as the scriptures do teach. The scriptures teach that the stars are angels and that they are conscious and that they move and circle around us. You know, it's the stars in the flat earth model that are moving, not us. They're trying to tell us that we are spinning through space and that the stars are still. Yet we never feel any spin, we never feel any motion, and you'll say, okay, the earth is too big. You won't feel any movement. You know, we're in the atmosphere, we won't feel it. But to me, that's a cop-out, because even when you go really, really high, you know, the cameras have gone 100,000 feet up, you can tell we're not spinning through space. You can tell, and there have been experiments that have shown that the Earth is not moving. It's flat, it's motionless, and that's what the scriptures teach. That's what most of the ancient civilizations thought. They drew concepts of the flat Earth. That's what they believed. They didn't believe that we were a spinning ball flying through space. You know, they say the Greeks came up with it. Well, Pythagoras, I think it's Pythagoras or Copernicus that came up with this model. They were Freemasons. There's some say they were one of the first Freemasons. There's paintings of them with doing the Freemason hand symbols. They have the compass, you know, obvious Freemasons. And they didn't prove that the Earth was a globe. They couldn't even get high enough to prove that the Earth was a globe. They, I think one of the experiments was they, again, the ships going over the horizon. That's one of the proofs that is used by the globe Earth believers, is that the ships sail over the horizon and go over the curve. They disappear out of sight because the ships on the beach go over the curve. Yet recently there have been many people that have grabbed a camera with a powerful zoom, and with their eyes they can see the ship has disappeared. They think, oh, it's gone over the curve. But they get the camera, they zoom in, and they pull the ship right back into view until it disappears because of your line of perception. You know, you have a limit to your perception. That's why the ship disappears. But if you grab a camera and a zoom, a telescope, you can bring it back into view. Whereas they always taught that ships go over the curve. And think about that for one. You know, right now, if you believe that you're on a ball, a spinning ball, right now there are ships, depending where you are, ships in Australia sailing upside down like that in water. That gravity is somehow holding on. And it'd be cool if they can get a photo of ships upside down, right? Or buildings upside down on this globe Earth. They never have. Never happened. Talking about photos and videos from space. Space. Yeah. By the way, I'm quick firing here. I know this is a lot to take in. I haven't really prepared this well. I just want to have a chat, you know, just to show how crazy I am. But yeah, space. NASA have been caught out many times. You can look this up for yourself. It's all there. It's all able to see. NASA have been caught faking space. There have been air bubbles in space. Apparently, who knows that there are air bubbles in space? Because I believe that it's all done underwater. You know, it's all CGI. It's all Hollywood. NASA is essentially Hollywood. You know, they're actors. They're actors. And most of the astronauts that have been into space are Freemasons. You can look that up for yourself as well. And they're very good at keeping secrets. And yeah, space. You know, there's not been one 360 camera pan around in space. Not one. I believe that's because they'd be breaking the fourth wall if they did that. You know, it's always just on a little bit of the earth, you know, that I don't buy it, and many people aren't either. You know, there's when you see videos of the astronauts in the ISS, the International Space Station, you see you've seen some of their harnesses. You know, they think they're trying to sell us that they're floating because there's no gravity in space. But you see their harnesses. You see it's keeping them up, and you see that there is green screen. There've been mistakes where one astronaut, he passed a microphone into his other hand and it glitched. It quickly glitched, and you're like, okay, that seems like, you know, green screen work there. And I think there's a video of, I don't know if it's in NASA headquarters, it might be in the NASA headquarters. You see George Bush Sr. being wheeled in, and you see all the computers, you know, and you see in the background, you see an astronaut talking, I think it's in ISS, but you see behind him, forgot what it's called, it's like a green screen, a blue screen, you see behind him where they're going to put in the images later. And they did. You know, you can find that same video with that same astronaut where the background where his background is changed. It's been added in, CGI. So there are many videos like that of NASA being caught out. And NASA, you know, it's funny on their logo that they have a serpent's tongue. They have a serpent's tongue on the NASA logo, and in Hebrew, and some will debate about this, but I find it strange. In Hebrew, nasha, Nasha. I know it's not nasa, but apparently they can be interchanged, those words. Nasa and nasha, they can be the same thing. Nasha means to deceive in Hebrew. Nasa means to lift up. So, to lift up and to deceive. I believe that's what they have been doing, deceiving people for a very long time. And of course, NASA didn't come up with the globe Earth. No, they're fueling it more, you know. But, okay, so the Bible, it does teach that the Earth is flat, motionless, and that we are center stage with a dome surrounding the flat Earth. And people say, oh, if the Earth's flat, why can't you fall off the edge? Why has no one seen the edge? Well, the edge, apparently, according to flat earthers, and Admiral Byrd has seen this, James Cook has seen this, there is an ice ring, ice wall, think of Game of Thrones, ice ring surrounding the edge. That is the South Pole, surrounding the edge. You've got the North Pole in the middle with Polaris, the star above it, and all the stars are circulating around Polaris. And that's what we see, you know. People say the stars are so far away, that's why they don't look like they're changing much. You know, the constellations haven't changed in thousands of years. The Earth is supposedly spinning through space at such a speed, you know, but we see that the stars are rotating around Polaris. Yes, the edge is the Antarctic wall, that wall, the Antarctic goes on for ages. Apparently the edge of the dome has been found. There's been operations that have been done to Antarctica. One is called Operation High Jump. Interesting, high jump. You know, maybe they did find the wall, the Antarctic wall, and maybe they're doing experiments with the dome right now. But if they did find it, which I believe they did, you're not gonna hear that on TV. That's the thing. You're not gonna hear it on the mainstream. They're not gonna suddenly come out and say, "Well, we were wrong. The Earth is flat. There's a dome." Imagine what people would do if that was the case. Like the Truman Show. It's very much like the Truman Show. It's very much like the Matrix. We are living in a matrix. We are living in a false reality fed to us by these people who are not looking out for our best interest. They do not care about us. They are liars. Very, very good liars. The Bible said they are good. You know, Satan comes as an angel of light. That's what they're doing. So yes, why can't you fall off the edge? Well, you'd have to go to Antarctica. You know, there's ice walls surrounding the edge. And, you know, people have said, well, the Earth is a globe. People have circumnavigated the Earth. You know, they sail on a ship, started, and come back round to where they started. Well, you can still do that on a flat Earth. You know, you can go like that around the disc that is described as. A disc, you can sail around it. And that's probably what they did. You know, does running around your neighborhood prove that your neighborhood is a ball? No. So, yeah, that doesn't matter to me. And speaking about the dome, you know, there's something that really caught my eye was back in 1962, the United States carried out a series of nuclear tests as part of an operation called Operation Fishbowl. So they carried out some nuclear tests, shot nukes up into the air, and they called it Operation Fishbowl. And that was also part of a larger program called Operation Dominic. And I find it ironic that the term fishbowl was being used there because, well, what do you think of when you have a dome, you know, surrounding the Earth, like the flat Earth model? It's like a snow globe. That looks like a fishbowl, doesn't it? So they called it Operation Fishbowl, which was also part of Operation Dominic. You know, that was part of the larger nuclear test program. And interestingly enough, the name Dominicus, something like that, the word Dominic actually means of the Lord. So you have fishbowl of the Lord. Interesting. You know, that kind of points towards the flat Earth model, that we're under a dome. So they sent up nukes, probably because they were like, okay, we're in a dome, what the? They're sending up nukes to see if they can pierce the dome, and obviously they failed, and they're still trying to do it Now, you have a video of Hillary Clinton saying that I know that we are all standing under a glass ceiling and there's about 18 million cracks in it and that we're gonna break through it someday. She's saying that, and I think whether that's supposed to mean something else, I don't know, but I think the elite know. They know full well that we're under a dome, that the earth is flat, and they like to mock. So, yeah, the fact that they were sending nukes up, and there's videos of this, that the nukes hit something, seems like a dome, and this is nothing new. In the Bible, the scriptures talk about a man named Nimrod, who was the first king of the New World Order after the flood of Noah. He's essentially the biggest human adversary in the scriptures. Nimrod tried to build a tower. You've probably heard of it, called the Tower of Babel. He tried to build the tower, which was about 8,000 feet, believe it or not. And the tower was an attempt to reach into heaven, the scripture says. And it says he tried to pierce through the dome, he tried to get into heaven, set up himself as a god, kill God, and declare himself king of the earth. He failed, obviously. But Yahuwah let him build the tower, said, okay, I'm going to bring you high so I can bring you low. And that's what I think he's going to do with a lot of the world now. He's going to let evil have its platform. He's going to let the evil be exalted to be brought down low again. So yeah, I found that very interesting about Operation Fishbowl. That does make you go, okay, what's going on here? And another thing, Warner von Braun, I believe his name is, he was the father of rocketry that worked for NASA. Some people call him the father of NASA. Well, I don't think that's true. He was the father of rockets that eventually collaborated with NASA. I think he was an atheist, apparently, in his life. And then when he died, he had on his gravestone Psalm 91, I believe. Let me just check. Is it Psalm 91? Psalm 19:1. He has, Warner von Braun, on his gravestone, you can check this out, he has Psalm 19:1, which says, "The heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament shows his handiwork." The father of rocketry works for NASA, had that on his gravestone. Now, did he get converted at the end, or was he trying to leave us a message because he knew full well what was up there and what the truth is? That made me go, as well. It's just one of many, many things that does make me question. I would like to read a quote from Dr. Lawrence Cohen, ex-Mossad agent, US intelligence. He said that the Earth is not spinning on a globe at 1,309 miles per hour, nor is the Earth 4.9 billion years old. Absurdities that you were taught and which stemmed from the Masonic Royal Society in London. So I don't know if that quote's true or not. It's circling around the internet. If he said that, well, I believe him. I believe that is true. I believe it is absurdities. They're not going to give us the full picture of where we came from and why we're here. Because, like I said earlier, knowledge is power, and they are trying to cover up history. History has been severely covered up. For one, I'm going to just throw out giants out there. There have been many, 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 many skeletons of giants unearthed. It's in old newspapers, but they covered it up. They didn't allow that in the science textbooks because it goes against Darwinian evolution, for one. Giants 30 feet tall, some bigger than that. And the Bible talks about these giants that roamed the earth back in the day, and it was horrible times. And they were everywhere. They probably built the pyramids. They don't know how the pyramids were built today. Look at the size of those blocks. Look how many they are. It makes sense that they were done by intelligent giants. So yeah, that's covered up. There's so many things that are covered up, and this, the flat Earth is one of them. So the conception is that the Earth is a disc with pillars, surrounded by a dome, with the sun, moon, and stars inside the dome, the firmament, circulating around us. And the sun. They say that the sun is 93 million miles away. 93 million miles away. And that we're spinning around it. Yet all our senses and all the ancient cultures believed that the sun is circling around us. That is what we see. We see that the sun is not that far away. We think that it's about maybe 1,000, 3,000 miles away. And it's a spotlight. It acts like a spotlight. It's not as big as they've told us. It circles along with the moon. The moon circles around as well. And here's a good another good proof that they are lying to us. They tell us that the moon is something we can land on, and the moon landings were undoubtedly fake. You know, I marvel at anyone that believes that the moon landings were genuine. So I'm not going to get sidetracked with the moon landings being, you know, that's a whole nother discussion, but I believe they were faked. The moon is not something we can land on. It's a light, it's a luminary. That's what the scriptures teach, and that's what the proof says. We have seen stars through the moon. We have seen stars through the moon. There are photos of it, and it's a light. It shines its own light. And Rob Skiba, the fellow I told you about, the one who kind of introduced me to the flat Earth, he did an experiment where he found that the light of the moon was colder than the shade near it. So the moon is giving off its own light. I call the moon a her because that's how the scriptures refer to the moon, a her, and the sun is a he. So yes, the moon is giving off her own light, where it's warmer in the shade. It's colder in the direct view of the light of the moon than it is in the shade. But mainstream science tells you that the moon is reflecting the light of the sun. That the moon isn't giving off her own light. You know, it doesn't give off cold light. But that's what we've seen. That's what we've tested. But of course, that is going to be shut down. It's going to be shut down by the mainstream science because that's what happens. You know, if you go up against Darwinian evolution, Big Bang, the spinning ball Earth theory, you're immediately shut down. So we do have to resort to going online, you know, getting together, going out on the streets, which a lot of people are doing. People are handing out leaflets, you know, and it's getting very, very, very popular. And if this flat Earth thing was so ridiculous, don't you think it would be shut down by now? Don't you think that it wouldn't be growing at a rate that it is? And I understand that it's hard to let go of everything you've been taught. It's very hard to talk about flat Earth because if you go to your family, to your friends saying, I believe the Earth is flat, they will look at you like, you know, okay, see you later. You know, and that's happened. I've had that. I've had people look at me like I'm an idiot, and that's what we're going to face from now on. And frankly, I don't care because I genuinely believe it's the truth. I'm not going to hide away from that. You know, I realize it's controversial and that I'm probably going to live a life of ridicule, but oh well, the scriptures teach it, the science teaches it, it proves it. We are being fed lies, you know, and I think another reason why that they're making us believe that we're on a spinning ball hurling through space, you know, amongst billions of other galaxies in an infinite universe, is because of the whole alien agenda. You know, the Bible talks about a great deception in the last days that is going to be very, very, very big, and it's going to turn a lot of people away from the Creator. You don't have to be a genius to see that they are programming us to accept aliens coming. You know, why do you think there's so many Hollywood films of aliens? Hollywood are just as much as part of it. You know, Hollywood are evil. You know, so many people have come out and said that Hollywood is run by pedophiles, you know, say Satanists. So you don't have to do 5 minutes of research to know that you can't trust Hollywood. They are giving us so many films about aliens. There's books, TV shows, magazines, you know, aliens in our face all the time. Well, the scriptures teach that there are no other life forms out there. In fact, the flat Earth model, you know, says there can't be any life. There's no other planets. These planets that you have been told about, you know, Jupiter, Venus, Mars, they are nothing more than stars. They're called wandering stars, actually. The ancients knew them as wandering stars. You know, there are a few videos on YouTube of a Nikon P900 zoomed in on Venus. It does not look like a planet, a terra firma, something we can land on. It looks like a light underwater, you know, flickering, changing colour. They're lying to us about planets. They're giving you CGI, and that's what they are, CGI images of these planets. You know, they're telling us that there are probes going out to Saturn, you know, yet they can't even go to Mars. You know, in fact, they can't go back to the moon. A NASA scientist said, "Oh, we would love to go back to the moon, but we don't have the technology to do that anymore. We lost that technology." Look at a photo of what apparently took them to the moon. It's cardboard, it's tin foil, and yet they have probes going to Mars, to Jupiter, and they know about these galaxies billions of light years away. They know about these stars billions of light years away. it's pseudoscience. That's what it is. And Neil deGrasse Tyson, he's the embodiment of science for the younger generation. He's like, you got questions about science, go to Neil deGrasse Tyson, the failed actor. And he'll tell you, we don't know what gravity is, but you got to trust us. We know that gravity holds down the oceans and except the birds and us. Birds are able to fly around, but somehow it keeps all the oceans in. And he'll say that, and Bill Nye says this, the science guy, he says that the Earth is actually not a sphere, it's oblate, he says pear-shaped, and he's been ridiculed for this. Neil deGrasse Tyson says it's pear-shaped. Okay, Neil, the Earth is pear-shaped. Then how come in all the photos of Earth does it say that, all the photos of Earth show that the Earth is a perfect sphere? Doesn't look pear-shaped to me. So which is it? Is the Earth pear-shaped or is it a sphere? I'm going to go with neither. I'm going to trust the scriptures. I'm going to trust my senses. I'm going to trust experiments you can do yourself, by the way. The Chicago skyline has been photographed from Lake Michigan, 60 miles away. They'll say it's a mirage, but there have been many experiments done like that, where you zoom in far, far away and you can see like a city or buildings or an island where you would not be able to see that if the Earth was curved. Wouldn't be able to see it, but you can. And again, I'm quick firing here. If the Earth was a sphere, a ball, wouldn't planes have to dip their nose constantly to account for the curvature of the Earth? So they go over the ball. Wouldn't they fly off into, say a plane stood consistently level like that, which they do, by the way. Wouldn't a plane fly off into space eventually? Say the plane's flying for 12 hours or so, or 9 hours. Yeah, it never dips its nose to go over the curvature of the Earth. Never. And it's called airplane because it flies over a plane, a flat plane, which is what we live on. It's not called air curve. So yeah, there are many proofs out there as to why the Earth is flat, motionless, and that we are center stage in a dome. Space is fake. Listen to Red Hot Chili Peppers' Californication. One of the lyrics is, "Space may be the final frontier, but it's made in a Hollywood basement." That's one of their lyrics. They like to throw it in our faces. They know, there's so much flat Earth stuff in TV, films, and music. Type in on YouTube flat Earth in movies and TV shows, and with The Simpsons alone, there's loads. They love to mock. Either they're throwing it in our faces because they know the truth, or they're just like, yeah, flat Earth is stupid. Let's just slyly put in all these bits and bobs about flat Earth in there. Loads of it, loads. I urge you to take the red pill, as the Matrix says, to just forget about what you've learned, because there's a lot of lies out there and we have been fed these lies. Do a bit of research on flat Earth, serious research. I know you think, the internet, you can't believe everything you hear on the internet. Well, from what we've learned, we can't believe what they tell us either. You can't believe everything that these people are telling us. Just because it's classed as science doesn't mean it's science. Beer is often sold at football games. Does that mean beer has anything to do with football? No, it's just put in there. It's weaved in there. It's a bit of rap. Well, yes, it doesn't mean that beer is associated with football just because beer is sold at the game. That's just an analogy I used there. But it's the same thing with what we've been told. You don't have to believe it. Search out for yourselves. do the research on flat Earth, and if you've done a fair bit of research, actual paying attention to it, and not just for the sake of mocking it, and you come out of it thinking that the Earth is a spinning ball, fine. That's fine. That's great. It's a lot better than the ones that don't look into it and just ridicule it. You know that. You know, the Bible says that he who condemns a matter before he hears it, it's shame and folly unto him. So that's kind of what got me into the flat Earth. I think, well, I can't ridicule it because I don't know anything about it, and the fact that so many people are believing in it, there's got to be something to it. And that led me down an 8-month journey of intense discovery. And I'm 1,000,000% convinced that we have been lied to. This is the greatest deception of all time. The Earth is flat, stationary under a dome. It's not moving. We are it. There's no aliens. And if you see UFOs and all that, I would say it's either government technology that they're hiding from us, or it's spiritual. So yeah, I really highly suggest you look into it. And I think you can't go into flat Earth and come out not believing in a creator, for one. And I think that scares a lot of people, because if the Earth is flat and stationary with a dome surrounding it, with the stars circling around us, then there is a creator. And I think it's a good a tool to get the gospel out there. I think it's a good method of witnessing to people, because it can bring them to who I believe is the way, the truth, and the life, Yahushua HaMashiach, or Jesus Christ as he's known. And it will lead you to your creator, who does love you, wants to know you, he wants you to be reconciled to him, because the world is not getting any better, it's going to get a lot worse. And I believe that the only way we can get through it is with God, Yahuwah, our creator. So yeah, I know you're going to think I'm totally insane. I've just watched one too many YouTube videos. You know, you probably think I'm gullible, but that's fine. You can believe that. I just urge you to do the research yourself. Check out Eric Dubay. Eric, you know, spell Eric, Dubay as the last name. Check him out. Check out Rob Skiba. There are many books on the subject. Get 200 Proofs the Earth is Not a Globe by Eric Dubay. For one, just buy a Nikon P900 and point them at the stars, and you can tell that they're not suns, for one. So there are many things you can do. Just open your eyes, be willing to accept that what you've been taught is a lie, and just search it out for yourself and see what you come across. You never know, it might change your life. So yeah, thank you for listening to me. I could have crammed a lot more stuff about flat Earth in here. I probably should have, but this weren't planned. I'm just quick firing, just having a discussion about it to see, so you can see a little bit where I'm coming from. But it's very convincing, very, very, very convincing. Look into it. Thank you very much.